Hello, I'm Steven, the calculator guy, and today we're going to talk about Beanstalk. Now, you may have seen Beanstalk in crypto Twitter. You may have heard of Beanstalk throughout the past sort of, I don't know, 5.5, 6 months. Beanstalk is a protocol that sort of comes into popularity and then sort of fades away while slowly giving people yields, and then comes back into popularity when someone mentions it. So let's talk about it. So my goal for this video is to explain how to utilize Beanstalk if you want to, what Beanstalk is, and then of course the risks associated with Beanstalk. So if I can do those three things, I will feel super accomplished. There are a few other YouTubers who have done videos on Beanstalk. Actually, I wrote them down. I know one of them is Caesar's Snack Sandwich. Huge shout out to that guy. Another one is Everything Blockchain, and I really enjoyed her explanation of the vocabulary. So thank you both for your contributions to the crypto space. Now, what is Beanstalk, right? Let's just jump right into it. Beanstalk is a credit-based algo stablecoin. Now, that's kind of a mouthful. Let me just explain like the basics of how it works instead of trying to get into fancy vocabulary. So it works similar to Tomb or other seigniorage tokens. I don't know if you know Tomb Finance or even like Luna to an extent. Basically, whenever Bean, which is their stablecoin pegged to the US dollar, whenever Bean trends above $1, which it's currently doing, every season that goes by, which is 1 hour, new Bean will be rewarded to the stockholders and also to pay back the bond, and we'll talk about that. That's in the field. So pretty much like the reason this happens is because when you increase the supply, right, when you mint new Bean to reward to people, you're increasing the supply, right, the supply relative to demand, and if the supply increases and demand stays steady, price goes down, which is what you want when you're trying to create a stablecoin. So if it's too high, you mint more to make it low. And who do you mint those to? You mint those to the stockholders in this case. So very simple mechanism. Stock can be thought of as similar to T-share in this instance, but there is a major difference, and that's what we're going to talk about first in the silo. So the silo is where you would go to sort of long Bean and Bean LPs. So Bean again is a stablecoin, which should be effectively pegged to the dollar. Now, it hasn't historically always been that way. I think in October it went down as down to as little as 50 cents, which is real bad, right? You never want a stablecoin to be at 50% away from peg. That's horrific. But it did regain peg, so congratulations, Bean. So here, I mean, that's one of the risks too with algo coins is, they're more likely to depeg. Anyways, Bean is stablecoin, roughly $1. When you invest in just Bean, you can see what your Bean APY will be 20%, so similar to Anchor, I guess. But there's a major difference, right? You're rewarded, or you're immediately rewarded in a 1-to-2 ratio of stock to seeds. So what are stock and what are seeds? Stock is your T-share, right? Stock is your boardroom token. Stock is your governance token. And it's your yield-bearing governance token, or your interest-bearing governance token, whatever you want to call it. It is the token, it's an ERC20, it's the token that mints the Bean to you. This is how you get Bean. This is how you get your yield, how you get your APR, how you get your APY, by having stock. Without stock, you will get no interest, you will get no Bean, you will get no anything. Seeds are vested stock, right? Seeds mature into stock over time. You can see, I don't know how well you guys can see. Let me zoom in a bit. You can see it says the seed token yields 0.0001 stock every season. Now, you get 2 seeds per dollar. So if you have a bunch of seeds, that's, you'll get hopefully closer to 1 stock per season. Again, you have a season per hour. So you'd get 0.0024 stock per day per seed. I know it's a bunch of vocabulary to understand. Basically, all you need to know is that seeds create stock and stock gets you yield. If you understand that, you're golden. Now the other interesting thing, super interesting thing here is that your stock will increase over time, right? Your stock is going to accrue an amount, which means it's going to give you more beans if your share of the total stock increases relative to your initial investment, right? So if everyone invests at the same time, if everyone invested at the same time and never pulled out their investment and never got rid of their stock, then the stock APY would be meaningless, completely meaningless, because no one would ever gain more portion of the stock market cap, right? However, and this is the big however and sort of the big point of this protocol, in my opinion, when you exit your position on Bean ETH LP or Bean 3 Curve LP, when you exit your position, you lose all of your stock and all of your seeds. You lose all of it, right? Stock is not a tradable ERC20 asset. So all of that stock accumulated through this APY, gone. And if you re-enter your position, nothing, right? So this highly incentivizes holding long term. Why? Because if you hold long term while other people are exiting, you're increasing your share of the total market cap of stock, right? Your percentage of the total stock holdings, because they're literally deleting their stock from existing effectively. And so you're like, if you have 10 stock and someone else has 10 stock and then they exit their position, now you have 10 stock and they have no stock. So you would have 100% of all the stock. You'd be getting all of the newly minted bean. So this really, really incentivizes holding, and it's kind of cool because your APY will increase over time, theoretically, as long as bean stays above peg. And other people exit. And you would imagine they will exit because, you know, people need their money. People need liquid assets every now and again. So that's pretty much how this works. When you want to withdraw, there is a 24-hour unbonding period, I guess you could call it. So that's something to notice, like something to know. Your staked assets here are not completely liquid. They're pretty liquid, but there is a 1-day, 24-season unbonding period. So that's basically it. When you click on your deposits, you can see I deposited a little bit before. You can sort of see how many seeds I have, how many stocks I have. It's roughly a 1-to-4 ratio. So the best thing in terms of rewards for you is to be in the LPs, but of course there's impermanent loss that you have to consider. And for, 2 days ago, this was at, I want to say 18%. Now it's at 28%. I am not sure if that's because I have a larger portion of the total stock right now, or if it's because of the newly minted beans being such that I have increased my APY. Right? So I'm not sure necessarily if this increased APY is a function of my increased stock relative to my investment, or if it's a function of simply this being more overpegged than usual. Hopefully, I will be able to do the math on that once I have more data points. Anyways, if you want to see your balances, sort of how many seeds you have, and if you want to claim your stock, you can go down here, or farm your stock. Now at this point I can farm 98 stock. Now this isn't an Ethereum transaction, so you want to do this when gas is low. You might not want to do this too frequently because you're going to get diminishing returns, right? Because I have 5,033. If I add 100 to that, what is that, like a 2% increase? So it's not negligible at this point, but it's been a couple of days. Now my seeds are increasing my stock, so that's really good. And then what are pods, right? So you can see, here's my total ownership of the stock of the protocol. I have 0.007%. Go me. And actually I had 0.004 something percent when I first entered. So apparently I am growing as in my portion of the ownership. So I could farm this for a pretty decent increase. So I might do that actually. So this is your balances, but we need to talk about pods, because pods is really the other half of the protocol and another really interesting half of the protocol. With most seniorage tokens, like with Tomb, again, probably the most known one, with Tomb Finance, when you're under peg, right, when Tomb goes under the value of Phantom, or in this case, when Bean goes under the value of $1, there needs to be a mechanism to regain the peg. So what is that mechanism? Well, here you'll see available soil, which just means like how willing they are to allow you to burn your bean for pods. What are pods? If you're familiar with bonds, like T-bonds, then it's just the same thing, but a little different. So when there's available soil, it means you can do that. You can burn your beans for pods. And how many pods will you get? Well, you'll get this many more. So 1 plus this. So this would be, if you turn this into a a number, not a percent, not a number, I mean a decimal, this becomes 70.3. So you would, if you burned one seed, $1, you would get 71.3 pods. So you, again, you sow one bean, you get 71.3 pods. Now, when it's your turn to harvest or redeem these pods, you will get, if you can, you will get 71 beans back. So let's say that again. You sow one bean, you get 71 pods. When it's your turn to harvest those, you will get 71 beans back. So that's a 7,036% return on investment. Pretty amazing, right? Well, there is definitely a catch. This is a first in, first out system, and your place in line, or your pod in line, would be 673 million, right? So 673 million pods must be redeemed for beans before yours. And you might think, well, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. How many pods have been harvested? Well, so far, 23 million have been harvested over the course of roughly 5 to 6 months, right? So you might think, okay, 5 to 6 months, it looks like we're doing 50 million per year at that rate. 50 million, that's like 12 years. So don't love those odds, right? You probably don't think that's amazing. So, okay, and that math is fuzzy, by the way. There is another choice. You can go to the market. There's a secondary market for pods, and you can buy and sell and trade these pods for varying values, right? In fact, yesterday or 2 days ago, there were pods that had a place in line in the 100,000s, and they were like super discounted, and I really should have scooped them up, but I didn't, foolishly, and they've been scooped up since then. You can look at price per pod, like maybe you want pods under 10 cents, right? Under 10 cents. And there are plenty of pods that are under 10 cents. 2 pages, right? You can buy thousands of pods for under 10 cents each, which is pretty great. Or I guess this is, yeah, for under 10 cents each. And these are like super, super far down in line. But you know, you can buy them if you want, and then you can flip them, you can sell them. And you can think, okay, well, when is it profitable to bond? So if it's a 1 to 71 ratio, what is 1 divided by 71? It looks like roughly a penny. Each pod you get is worth 1.4 pennies. So if you're selling your pods for more than 1.4 pennies, well, then you're making a profit. It may not be 7,000% ROI, but it's a profit. So that's great, right? So you can still get the pods or sow your beans for pods and then go to the secondary marketplace and then sell your pods for whatever the lowest, you know, for whatever the demand is at that time, hopefully for a profit. And then, you know, there you go, you got beans again. Okay, so that's basically the investment strategies, right? You can go to the silo, you can stake your bean, you can stake your bean ETH LP, you can stake your bean 3-curve LP. Hopefully you'll slowly gain more and more of the total market cap, and your APY will compound as other people exit the market. That's great. Or you can go to the field whenever we're under peg and then there's available soil. You can create pods, then you can resell the pods in the secondary market. That's basically it, guys. That's like the whole protocol for the most part, right? There is governance, but most people really don't care about governance. And I've talked to enough people in this space to know that governance is kind of like I don't want to say a gimmick, but you know, the creators of the protocol are still going to make the decisions. They're going to say you can choose any color as long as it's black, to some extent. But I don't want to put down DAOs. Anyways, there are analytics. There is a nice Dune analytics. You can check that out. I'm not gonna go into those weeds, but I do want to talk about the risks, right? What are the risks? Because there are some. There are places to get yield on Bean as well. And maybe I'll talk about that in a future video. But the risks are effectively smart contract risks always exist, right? So someone could hack this. Despite any audit, we never know what the technology of hackers may be in the future, but it has been very robust for a long time. But it could also depeg, right? So if there's tons of sell pressure, on on Bean, we may depeg, and if the secondary marketplace starts to falter and there's no demand for pods, then again, that's a huge issue. And you may see like some sort of catastrophic depegging event. Now, we sort of saw that in October and it made a rebound. So it has shown resilience and robustness in the face of adversity. But that is a serious risk, right? A depegging event that you don't want. Another risk, of course, is if you're dealing with LPs, there's a huge risk of impermanent loss, right? If Ethereum shoots way up, or if Ethereum tanks and you didn't want exposure to Ethereum, well, you know, you're going to lose value compared to had you just held. And that's no fun. So those are some of the major risks that I wanted to talk about. Really, like, the depegging is the biggest risk. But it's held up pretty well. We can actually look at the analytics just super quick. Where's the Dune? Dune. Okay, is this the price? Yeah. Let's look at month. Okay. So you can see that it's pretty well pegged. Let's go all. Yeah. So in October, this is where things got pretty hairy. You can see way up to $4, way down to 50 to 30 cents, and then it's been pretty stable since then. We had some highs here of almost $2. Actually, not almost $2, like $1.50, then some lows of, let's see, 85 cents. So there were definitely some highs and lows, but it seems like if you look at this over time, it's kind of restabilizing and doing a pretty good job. So I think it's pretty interesting. You can look at all the analytics. This is a protocol that I've clearly set some money aside to just to sit on for a while. Of course, I'll be monitoring my position. Always monitor your positions. Don't just set them and forget them. And that's about it. So hopefully you guys found this video informative. There is also a BNFT marketplace. If you want to check out the NFTs, I don't know if they give you any additional value. If they do, I'll do a follow-up video. I just want to give you guys the basics. And again, the basics are Silo is for just, I don't know, staking and getting some sort of APY that may be compounded and may grow over time as your stock increases and as your seeds give you more stock and you gain a larger share of the total stock market, which is what you want, right? That's the goal of winning in the Bean game. And then the field is when you're under peg and you effectively bond or sow your beans for pods, and you can sell those pods in the secondary marketplace, presumably for a profit compared to the beans that you sowed. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more content from me, if you want to talk to me, if you want to schedule video calls with me, I have those things available now on my Patreon. If you want to talk to other DeFi power users and my entire research team and my team of DeFi friends, you can do that in the Discord. We have a premium Discord now that you guys can join, and we would love to have you there. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, and God bless the lot of you. Goodbye.